So before we get started, just a few things. The way this works, we toss up questions that I'll ask. It's a question that's fair game for anybody to answer. Whoever buzzes in first is the person who answers. So it's not a visit with your team kind of thing. I'm looking for the answer from the person who buzzed in. If you buzzed in and then one of your teammates blurts out the answer, I consider that an incorrect answer, and then it's open for the other team to answer. So be careful on that. If you answer correct, then I will ask your team a bonus question. And you can visit with each other, but I'm looking for the answer to come from the team captain. That's the answer I'm looking for. If you answer a toss-up question and you answer incorrectly, Ms. Dow will reset the buzzer system, and somebody from the other team can buzz in and answer it if they think they know the answer. One thing about when you buzz in on a toss-up, if you interrupt the question, so if I'm not done reading the question, if you buzz in, I stop reading, you answer. If it's correct, no big deal. If it's not correct, then you actually lose points. It's the only way that you lose points on this. Is everybody with me so far? Okay. So what we do is we will have two halves that are timed for 9 minutes each. So we'll go for 9 minutes, and then we'll stop. And we'll have like a little halftime for a couple of minutes, and then we'll start over the second halftime. Okay. Does that make sense so far? Questions? All right. Now, one thing I ask of everybody out here, when we're going with this and they're answering questions, you have like this urge to like clap and cheer. Yes. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen while we're going. So I know, but it interferes with the process. And so what we do is we save all that for when we get to the halftime and to the end of the round. And then we go nuts and tell everybody to take it out and all that kind of stuff. We'll go ahead and start. This mathematician developed laws of planetary motion by studying Tycho Brahe's planetary observations and tables. That was Captain. In "Oh Captain, My Captain," who does the captain represent?
Abraham Lincoln.
That's correct. This amendment delegates responsibilities not directly granted to the federal government in the Constitution to state governments.
That was one of these.
So it's yours. This time?
That's what it is here.
Yes. All right, it'll be the 10th. Who invented the color wheel? That was you. What is 93 plus 17?
110.
That's correct. Which color scheme uses 3 colors evenly spaced around the color wheel?
Triadic.
That's correct. In what year were the first classes held in New Braunfels?
1854.
That's incorrect.
1873.
Incorrect. 1845. This is the term for the small building blocks that make up macromolecules. Minor. This was the name of the conflict fought between the British and French regarding the Northwest Territory.
French and Indian War. French and Indian War.
That's correct. So y'all's bonus. Name one of the most common commedia dell'arte characters. time's up. We have like Harlequin, Brighella, Capitano, Dottore, there's a list. Let's see. These colors are considered calming and relaxing.
Warm.
That's incorrect.
Cool.
That's correct. What is the smallest prime number?
2.
That's correct. What is 7,001 minus 1,007?
$5,994.
That's correct. In Sonnet 18, give one flaw of summer that Shakespeare uses to argue his subject is superior. Summer can be too hot, too windy, clouds dim the sun, summer eventually ends in fades. This is a form of theater characterized by masked types which began in Italy in the 16th century and rooted in improvisation.
Commedia dell'arte.
That's correct. This was the name for individuals who opposed central control and sought to protect individual and states' rights above all else.
Anti-federalist.
That's correct. This amendment gives Americans the right to present requests to the government. The First Amendment. In Sonnet 18, what does the eye of heaven refer to in the poem?
The sun.
That's correct. In the NBHS alma mater, the blue and white shall live forevermore for what?
Truth and right.
That's correct. Light reflected off of an object gives us which element of art?
Color.
That's correct. What year was the Starry Night painted?
Okay. 1838.
1889. Kind of close. In theater, what is the term for a stereotypical person whom audiences readily recognize from frequent reoccurrences in a particular literary tradition?
Archetype.
That's incorrect.
A stock character.
That's correct. Given the Fibonacci sequence, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. What is the next or seventh term?
13.
That's correct.
I am going to do that one.
So, in Hope is the Thing with Feathers, what extended metaphor does Dickinson use throughout the poem to represent hope?
Feathers.
That's incorrect. A bird that perches in the soul and keeps singing. What is 20% of 90?
18.
That's correct. Name one of the 4 types of biological molecules.
Protein.
That's correct. What is the term used when molecules are mirror images of each other? Chirality. What was the medieval theater's version of the modern roast of comedians performed by the clergy? first failed government of the United States?
Articles of Confederation.
That's correct. The weak constitution that governed America during the Revolutionary War.
Articles of Confederation.
That's correct. Blue shifted brown hues take on this color.
Orange.
It's incorrect, it's green. Claude Monet was a notable artist of which art period?
Impressionist.
That's correct, impressionist. In O Captain, My Captain, how does the poem's tone shift between the crowd scenes and the speaker? The crowd is triumphant and celebratory, and the speaker is overcome with loss. All right. Time is up for the first half. We'll take a 2-minute halftime. All right, you ready? This scientist revised Newton's laws of gravitation because he argued that changes in gravity could not happen faster than the speed of light. Einstein. This was the act that attempted to make tea cheaper for colonists in order to aid the failing British East India Company.
The Tea Act.
That's correct. Which Western art movement focused on subjects of human power and overly ornate materials to suggest wealth and status?
Rock.
That's correct. What is 119 minus 89?
32.
That's incorrect.
What, do we get to answer it?
If you,
30.
that's correct. Triangle positioning and strong use of acting planes draws the audience's eye and creates what?
Focus.
That's correct. In the Second Coming, where is the rough beast slouching toward?
Bethlehem.
That's correct. Luciferea and luciferase are common compounds used for this natural process.
Bioluminescence.
That's correct. According to the NBHS fight song, what are we fighting for?
Victory.
That's correct. When high school was held at Mill Street, pep rallies would be held the night before any big or important games. Where would these pep rallies be held?
Boys and Girls Club.
That's incorrect. The classic. This amendment protects Americans against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Fourth Amendment.
That's correct. What is the sum of the first two primes?
5.
That's correct. One of the founders of modern theater who really wanted to be an actor, but was a much better teacher and wrote an actor's note. Konstantin Stanislavski. What is 2019 minus 9,102? Negative 7,083. In art, this is achieved by adding white to a pure color.
Tone.
That's incorrect. That's That's correct. Which color of visible light would be best for Rudolph's nose in foggy conditions?
Red. Red.
Red is the correct answer, Thomas. You don't have forever to answer, you've got 5 seconds. Name one historical event that likely influenced Yeats when he wrote The Second Coming in 1919.
Jesus' birth.
That's incorrect.
The Great Awakening.
That's incorrect. World War I, the Irish War of Independence, the Russian Revolution. Name a Tennessee Williams play. The Glass Menagerie, A Streetcar Named Desire, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, Not About Nightingales. According to Feynman, a gorse is a rate of change of what? Position. What is 17 squared minus 1?
783.
That's incorrect. These colors are said to advance in artwork.
More.
That's correct.
Excellent research.
This was the name for a series of essays and publications by Alex Hamilton, James Madison, and John Jay regarding a strong central government in opposition to political factions.
Federalist Papers.
That's correct. In Harlem, A Dream Deferred, how does Hughes use structure and punctuation to build tension in the poem? He uses a series of short questions with dashes and line breaks. Mirror balance is an example of this type of balance.
Symmetry.
That's correct. Acting levels, depth of stage, and dynamic positions create strong what?
Visibility.
That's incorrect. Stage pictures. This reaction breaks proteins apart into amino acids.
Digestion.
That's incorrect.
Reduction.
That's incorrect. Hydrolysis. What is 1/5 times 1/3?
150.
That's correct. In Hope is the Thing with Feathers, what is the overall theme of the poem?
Be hopeful.
I don't think that would be correct. Hope is a resilient, selfless force that sustains people through even the hardest circumstances. Looking for another one. This was the name for individuals who supported a stronger federal government.
Federalists.
That's correct. Where would you go to see Van Gogh's Starry Night painting in person?
The Museum of Modern Art.
That's correct. Which art period took inspiration from classic Roman and Greek art?
Renaissance.
That's incorrect.
Romanticism.
That's incorrect. Classicism. What position is the most natural and realistic when talking to one other person, but is terrible positioning for the stage?
Silent.
Yeah, you're
No,
right.
no, this, the word is terrible.
Oh,
That's why you thought you got it right, but you got it wrong.
was I basically right? Breaking apart.
What is unique about the shape of an unsaturated fat?
It's bent.
That's correct. Yeah, he will. This is the name given to colonists who supported remaining with Great Britain.
Loyals.
That's correct. All right. So that's all for the first half. We're going to take a 2-minute break.
You said what was that? If they get it incorrect, then you do reset it.
Yeah, you want to reset it right away because the other team has a chance to.
And then once again, if they get it incorrect.
You may have lost your opponent. All right, so we'll do sophomores right here, team captain by the trophy. Freshmen right over here, team captain by the trophy right here.
I think we lost him.
We go through formalities. Wasn't it for the first answer?
I'm really good at computer stuff. I learned a lot about work just now. None of the NBISD history links work. They're all blocked. I gave up on social studies. I don't want to do it. I read all of the literature things and looked up all of the symbolism.
What about science?
Nope. I got halfway through the gravitational law thing and I thought, nope, I'm not comprehending any of this. It's too much information stuffed on my brain. I can do quick math though. I was an upper sense kid.
All right, last call for freshmen. Last call for freshmen.
I saw three. All theater kids. Could roll them in here.
All right, the freshmen have defaulted on this one.
I picked up my blood.
All right, so now, if you would say where you're at. Over here, we will need the juniors. The juniors, team captain by the trophy, please. All right, let's go ahead and start. Colors opposite of each other on a color wheel are these types of colors.
Complementary.
That's correct. A period from 1793 to 94, during the French Revolution, when thousands were executed for disloyalty, that led many Americans to the Federalist Party.
The French Revolution.
Reign of Terror. This was the name of the act that required colonists to house and feed British soldiers in 1765.
The Quartering Act?
That's correct. In Harlem, A Dream Deferred, what does the final line, or does it explode, suggest about deferred dreams? Prolonged frustration can erupt in violence. In medieval theater, fixed stages had a monstrous entrance to hell on the east side of the stage called what?
Hell's Mouth?
That's correct. What is the monomer for carbohydrates?
Monohydrate?
That's incorrect. Sugars. In Hope is the Thing with Feathers, where does Dickinson say hope perches? In the soul. As a way to settle the debates over planetary motion, this man was the first to suggest accurately measuring the positions of the planets in the sky.
Just do it. Galileo?
Yeah.
Oh, I put that.
It's
It's
not
working.
working.
Galileo?
That's incorrect.
Okay. Kelp, I think is what his name was.
Incorrect. Tycho Brahe. minus 1,006.
6,996.
That's incorrect. I have to take what you say first.
Huh? Huh? Wait, what? Wait, what did you say first? 6,996.
That's correct.
Oh.
You said 7 first.
Oh.
So that's what I
Oh no! Okay, dang it. You got that one in spirit.
How many primes are there between 90 and 100?
5?
Incorrect, it's 1. 97. This amendment allows Americans to organize well-maintained militias. The Second Amendment. A comedy form of coincidence emphasizing some of society's more ridiculous behaviors.
That's time.
Farce. In art, this is the relative size of different parts within an object.
Proportion?
That's correct. In the Second Coming, what does the image of a falcon unable to hear its falconer represent at the poem's opening? It's their bones. The breakdown of order.
Empowerment?
Here's already time. There's the breakdown of order. The NBHS fight song was created by substituting the words for what song? On Wisconsin. What is 30% of 30?
Oh, is that me? Sorry. 9?
That's correct. How many years, this is your bonus,
Yeah.
how many years did it take to paint the Sistine Chapel?
4?
I'll go ahead and count it. 4 is correct.
Yes.
Kepler found that the planets go around the sun following this special curve. That's correct. Metal organic frameworks, or MOFs, are used to do what? They remove harmful chemicals from water. What literary movement was Langston Hughes a central figure of? The Harlem Renaissance. What is 2/5 times 5 halves?
One?
That's correct. What is the smallest prime that is also a happy number?
Okay, stop it.
7.
You say what's that happy number? It's something with binary codes, like 1, 2, 4, 7. Something like that. 7, 10. I didn't try with math.
For Oh Captain, My Captain, in what larger poetry collection was this poem eventually included?
Leaves of grass?
That's correct. How does the Fibonacci sequence work?
It adds a certain number with the number coming before it.
Yeah, that's correct. Who led the rebellion of farmers farmers in western Massachusetts that showcased the inability of America's first government to deal with insurrection?
Shay?
That's correct. George's Rock, I'm butchering that, I'm sure, is an artist known for which Western art movement? Cubism. Besides changing speed, how can an object accelerate?
Like being pushed by another?
That's incorrect.
By reducing friction?
That's incorrect. By changing direction of motion. What is 729 divided by 9?
81?
That's correct. This was the name for the compromise made between the small and large states regarding the United States Congress.
Nope.
Great compromise.
Okay. I haven't taken
All right, that's the end of the half.
Good job, guys.
So we're about to get started on the second half. As it stands right now, sophomores have 80 and juniors have 90.
Oh.
Y'all ready? What art movement dealt with dimensional planes of everyday objects, broken down into different geometric segments and put back together in a way that presented the object from multiple sides simultaneously?
Cubism?
That's correct.
I was gonna guess that. That is.
A type of theater that is completely sung.
Opera?
That's correct.
The one thing I'm good at.
This type of biological molecule is not made of monomers. Lipids. This is a sensational dramatic piece with exaggerated characters and exciting events intended to appeal to the emotion.
A melodrama?
That's correct. In the second coming, what does Yeats mean by the best lack all conviction, while the worst are full of passionate intensity?
The rich are boring and the poor are cool.
That's incorrect. Good moral people are passive, while destructive forces act with dangerous boldness. In Hope is the Thing with Feathers, what has Hope never done for the speaker, according to the poem's final lines?
Never ask for anything in return.
That's correct. Is 343 prime? If not, give at least one of its factors.
I'm gonna say it's prime.
That's incorrect. It's divisible by 7.
I'll believe.
Who painted Girl with a Pearl Earring?
Johannes Vermeer?
That's correct. This amendment can be interpreted as a response to the British Quartering Act.
The third amendment?
That's correct. Scientists use this natural source to make specific right or left-handed molecules. Bacteria. All right, that's it. We're at the end of the question.
I win once by default.
All right, so here is the official results for the second round. Sophomores 140, juniors 130.
I have to do this again, though. I think we go against the seniors. Again? Wait, where did you? They go against the seniors?
I got this. I got you guys, but I won twice.
Wait, what's going on there? Visibility?
No, there was a first time and second. Okay. But they won against the freshmen. No, I won against the freshmen, but I won by default.
So here's what we need next. Next up is the
Losers bracket.
Losers.
no, hang on one second. All right, so next is the seniors versus the freshmen. So y'all take a break here for a few minutes. So
See if he shows up again.
freshman right here, team captain by the trophy. Seniors right over here, team captain by the trophy. All right, last call for freshmen. All right, by default, the winners of this round is the senior. All right, so what we need to do, seniors stay right where you're at. We're going to bring up the juniors. We're ready to get started again. I will tell you that we rolled through a pretty good clip. We're not going to, the second half is not going to be a full 9 minutes. We're going to run out of questions before we get to the time. At the moment, this is how the score stands. The juniors have 230, and the seniors have 110. That's where we're at.
Good job, guys. Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Okay. Yeah, you got this, Eden. No, really cool.
But remember, this is a double elimination tournament. So, like, if you lose once, don't go anywhere. We're going to keep going and then be able to keep going. All right. Y'all ready? In Sonnet 18, how does Shakespeare claim his subject's beauty will be preserved forever?
It's homework.
Immediately said.
Through art?
That's incorrect. Whatever you said.
Through writing?
Either one. Can we get a second?
She had.
Oh.
For clarification.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to call it incorrect because it's through the poem itself. What is 243 divided by 3?
81.
That's correct. Everyman is an example of what type of medieval play?
It's theirs.
It's their bonus question.
Oh, sorry.
What was it?
Time's up. Morality play. Which visible light has the longest wavelength?
Violet?
That's incorrect.
Red? Did it beep?
Yes.
Were you doing both? What would you say?
Red?
That's correct. The revolution that began in 1789 overthrew the absolute monarchy of the Bourbons and debate.
French Revolution.
It's their and debate in the U.S. between the Democratic, Republicans, and Federalists.
No. What is it then?
It's the French Revolution.
You can't blame me.
Under a microscope, artificial snow has this shape. It's
Yeah,
circular.
I fully reset, I'm sorry. But can I be?
Like beads.
Like beads?
All right, that's it. That's the end of our questions. So we'll roll it up here and let y'all know the second of this.
As long as Min reads and
Are you?
they're here, so long as the
Are you doing everything?
No, that's the Shakespeare.
It's on the 18. That was the one I didn't read. It was too over. It looked too hard.
And every man's a
No.
All right, so here's the official score. So for this round, the juniors 250, the seniors 120. So the juniors are the winners of this round. All right. Now here's your final score. So here's the score thus far. The juniors have 130 and the seniors have 190.
Hey guys, we got this.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So the second half is typical. We're not even going to come close to going the full 9 minutes. We're going to run out of questions. All right. Everybody ready? All right. In Harlem, a dream deferred. Name one simile Hughes uses to describe what might happen to a deferred dream.
Steaks like raw meat.
That's correct. How does the final couplet function in a Shakespearean sonnet?
Resolves the theme.
That's correct. This was the name of the compromise made regarding the number of representatives each state would earn based on the number of slaves residing within.
Free testimony.
That's correct. In Harlem, a dream deferred. What broader historical context makes this poem particularly powerful? It reflects the systemic racism of the mid-20th century. All right, that's it. That's all the questions. All right, here's our final score. Let's see, the juniors have 130 and the seniors 240. So that means tomorrow for the finals, it's the sophomores versus the seniors.
They have 7 people.